So the whole point of Icon is simply revisiting classic transportation in a modern context. Always been a design geek, engineering geek, car geek, whatever. And to me, transportation is the perfect storm in that it's an extroverted platform where I can pick and draw inspiration from so many different designs and industries into one very communicable, high-functioning piece of art. I really look at it as they're functioning sculptures. So I can draw inspiration from aerospace, marine, military, architecture, vintage, modern, everything down to surface coating technologies. And it's just really been kind of a dream in being able to do what I love and protect that at all costs. So the process with the FJ Icon was probably one of my favorites because it's been a vehicle that's been in my heart for decades. So travels overseas, really understand. People rely on them to the extent of life and death, and they have such an affinity with them because they were genius. My idea was simply, again, I wanted to keep that aesthetic and the utilitarian principles of it, but re-engineer it for modern driving, off and on. So we started with a really prime example, 1970 FJ40. We blue laser scanned it, so we had it in CAD, because obviously CAD didn't exist on it. And then we just had at it and re-engineered every last detail from ergonomics to suspension engineering and powertrain, till we got it where we really felt it was transcending what had been done in the past. Then we worked into all the details and the touch points and getting rid of the plastic and machining it in aluminum and Teflon polyester powder coating the body instead of painting it, and just trying to take a novel approach, but without anything being superfluous. Everything focused on utility, longevity, quality, and that tactile man-machine interface. Probably the most progressive thing that I think we're novel in applying in this industry is reverse engineering capabilities such as, ferro tracking and blue laser or tri-top scanning. Because, we're sometimes dealing with vehicles all the way back to the 1930s, and there is no CAD. And to take the engineering where we want it to be in the final experience of the product, you have to have that level of control. Getting out of ecliptic leaf spring suspension, which seriously is 1700s technology, horse and buggy stuff, the ride sucks. And manufacturers made the chassis purposefully loose to get that final bit of articulation out of that design. Well, if you look at contemporary coilover suspension, it's a completely different engineering perspective. You want the chassis as rigid as possible, and then the linkage and the shocks and such allow the articulation and give you more control over the ride quality. So jobs like that, oftentimes, we need partners, or we're going to be better with partners. So like we're proud to have worked with Eibach and Fox Racing on getting that suspension just right. And then powertrains, it's like watch movements. It's one thing to design and manufacture a watch. It's a whole other thing to make the movement. So we certainly work with and require and enjoy the support of the OEMs when it comes to mechanical engineering. Everything from CAD support to be able to model that in our CAD models as we're designing, all the way through to technical. Because a lot of times we're putting these motors where no one was dumb enough to put them there before, or playing with a new or novel platform that requires a lot of engineering work. This year at SEMA, we're trying to be more conservative. We've brought as many as 10 vehicles to SEMA over the year. This year we're going to bring 2 distinct vehicles. We're planning to bring an Icon FJ44, which is our 6-passenger 4-door version of the FJ line. And we're also bringing a vehicle from our one-off division we call Derelicts and Reformers. We're bringing a 1950 Buick Roadmaster convertible derelict. It's interesting because a lot of our vehicles, some of them are daily drivers, but a lot of times they're put at a specific property for when the client wants to enjoy that locale and get in that headspace. So the more vintage and under the radar of our aesthetic, it complements their experience in that environment at the ranch house or in the island or wherever it might be. So that means these vehicles often are stored for extensive periods of time. It's stupid simple, but a customer experience, when they get there and they want to fire it up, click, dead, nothing, is a bad thing for us, even though it's an accepted norm. So we learned very early on to integrate the CTEK product so that our client has a solution and their enjoyment of the vehicle is uninterrupted by the hassles of yet another dead battery. Lucky for us, we've been able to keep all manufacture in America. We've now hired over 40 people full-time. We're a 50,000 square foot shop. We're splitting at the seams and we're looking to a really good, bright future of further growth. And now we've expanded our line to 4 models of the FJ series. Another one, the Icon BR, inspired by the old Ford Broncos. And then the Thriftmaster, which is the 1950 era Chevy pickup. And this crazy line of one-offs we call Derelicts and Reformers. So it's really been a fun ride.